Another one? Inspector Telvix muttered, adjusting the straps on his hazard-rated inspection vest. The straps were too tight, again. The auto-fit system clearly didn't account for tail placement. Yes, sir, his aide confirmed, antennae stiff with anticipation. Human patrol ship HMS Alderbank. Irregular log entries. Something about a Lieutenant Nibbles who isn't in the official crew manifest. Telvix exhaled through all three nostrils. This would be their fourth human vessel inspection this month. The last one had ended with a long argument about what constituted a kitchen and a plasma conduit inexplicably rerouted through a ping-pong table. The humans always made things weird. The compliance shuttle docked without incident. The Alderbank's docking officer greeted them with a warm smile and a mug of something steaming and aggressively cinnamon-scented. She offered it without explanation. Telvix declined. "We're here for an Article 6.2 crew manifest audit," he said, producing a datapad and trying not to look directly into her aggressively friendly face. "Of course," she said cheerfully. "Commander Bellows is expecting you. Right this way." Telvix stepped into the main corridor and immediately frowned. The lighting was warm. The walls had art. Not technical schematics, not alert posters, actual framed images. One appeared to be a stylized depiction of a badger in aviator goggles. The crew passed by with unhurried efficiency, most of them smiling, nodding, or exchanging jokes as they moved between stations. "Why is morale this high?" Telvix whispered to his aide. "No recent shore leave. 2 cycles beyond standard deployment." "This shouldn't be possible," the aide replied, already scrolling through disciplinary metrics. There were none. In fact, there were commendations. Dozens, including one awarded to Lieutenant N. They reached the bridge without incident. The door hissed open. And then Telvix stopped moving. There, in the center of the bridge, standing confidently beside the command console, was a goat. It was a standard Earth goat, mid-sized, well-fed, white with faint gray mottling along its haunches. Around its body was a dark blue fabric vest with high-visibility lining and, prominently attached to its left flank via magnetic clasp, a silver-plated lieutenant's insignia. The goat was chewing on a printed report. It looked up as the inspectors entered, bleated loudly, and headbutted the corner of a navigation chair. The human crew didn't react. One officer gave the goat a scratch behind the ears in passing. Telvix turned very, very slowly toward the commanding officer. Commander Bellows, still in the same uniform she wore during the subpoena incident, albeit with slightly more coffee stains, gave them a calm nod from her seat. "Inspector, welcome aboard." Telvix's voice was dangerously even. "There is a goat. On your bridge." "Yes," Bellows said. "It's wearing a rank insignia." "Yes." "It appears to be chewing official documentation." "Only the old printouts. She has a very refined palate." Telvix stared. "Explain." "Lieutenant Nibbles is our morale officer, technically listed under non-critical auxiliary support staff. Her presence was approved under long-term deployment protocol amendments for non-human emotional stabilizers. Article 14.2, if you'd like to check." "I have checked. There is no biological crew member named Nibbles in the interspecies personnel database." "She's not in the database," Bellows agreed. "She's a goat." The goat bleated again, wandered to a corner, and curled up beside a heat vent like she owned the place. "I demand to speak to the responsible officer," Telvix snapped. Bellows gestured. Telvix followed her gaze. "To the goat." "That's her," Bellows said simply. There was a long pause. Somewhere in the back of the bridge, a human crewman suppressed a laugh. Telvix stepped forward, eyes narrowing, and reached for the insignia badge on the goat's vest. "You are interfering with official command structure. This constitutes a breach of section—" He didn't finish the sentence. The goat, with perfect timing and zero hesitation, bit him. It wasn't a big bite, but it was strategic, right in the hand, enough for Telvix to drop the badge and yelp, stumbling backward into a nearby bulkhead. Bellows didn't flinch. Lieutenant Nibbles does not appreciate aggressive action toward her person. She's very firm about personal space. Telvix glared, cradling his hand. "This is a violation of every fleet protocol we have." "Not everyone," Bellows said helpfully. "Just the ones that didn't anticipate goats." The aide, meanwhile, had quietly confirmed the paperwork trail. Every form was present. Signed. Filed. Approved. One was even initialed by a GC health officer with a note reading, "If this works, we need one on every ship." The bridge was quiet again. The goat bleated once more and began chewing the corner of Telvix's dropped datapad. Bellows smiled slightly. "Will there be anything else, Inspector?" Inspector Telvix sat in the Alderbank's conference room with a cold compress on his hand, a datapad in his lap, and the distinct aura of someone trying very hard not to scream. Across the table, Commander Bellows scrolled through documents on a touchscreen, entirely unbothered. Seated beside her was Lieutenant Greaves, called in from a neighboring sector for legal reassurance, who was sipping from a mug that read, "Morale is mandatory." On the floor between them, Nibbles the goat lay curled like a cat, chewing placidly on a shredded corner of a fleet safety manual. Her insignia pin gleamed in the soft light. "I have escalated this to Fleet Command," Telvix muttered, staring straight ahead. "You will be required to formally justify this in this animal's presence on a Class 2 combat-rated vessel." Bellows smiled politely. "We anticipated that. Everything's already submitted." Telvix's datapad pinged, so did his aide's, and then again, and again. The human submission was 864 pages long. The table of contents alone was 23 pages. The main file was titled, "Supplemental Justification for Auxiliary Officer Nibbles, Morale Unit, HMS Alderbank." Telvix opened the first section. It was a signed behavioral profile from a certified animal psychologist, Earth-based, GC licensed. It described Nibbles as extremely emotionally attuned, responsive to social stress indicators, and highly capable of nonverbal de-escalation in group settings. The next section contained performance metrics, charts, trend lines, color-coded breakdowns. Apparently, crew stress indicators had dropped by 32% since Nibbles came aboard 5 years ago. There were fewer disciplinary incidents, fewer late reports, and no recorded violent altercations. One graph compared cortisol readings before and after Nibbles' deployment. Another section included logs of notable mission impacts. Telvix skimmed the list. During a fire drill, Nibbles headbutted the emergency alert button while attempting to eat a comm cable. Response time was 14 seconds faster than average due to her initiative. Nibbles had once wandered into engineering during a tense argument between two shift leads. Her untimely sneeze caused a laughter break, and the issue was resolved without escalation. A corrupted nav file once uploaded an invalid routing vector. Nibbles ate the data slate before it could be processed. The navigational error was, technically, averted. Telvix groaned and pinched the bridge of his upper nasal slit. Bellows kept scrolling. We also included crew testimonials. The team submitted a petition to make her permanent. It received 82 signatures. "You have 48 crew. Some of them signed twice. We considered it a show of enthusiasm." Telvix's aide leaned over and whispered, "Sir, fleet performance analysis just came back. The Alderbank has a 12.4% higher operational efficiency rating than comparable vessels." "Of course it does," Telvix muttered. Fleet Command weighed in 36 minutes later via emergency comms. The voice of Admiral Threx came through the channel like distant thunder through molasses. "Commander Bellows, confirm the following. Lieutenant Nibbles is non-sapient, does not issue orders, does not access weapon systems, and is contained within non-critical personnel zones." "Confirmed," Bellows replied calmly. "She is also vaccinated, microchipped, and house-trained." Threx paused for a moment. Per Article 14.2, Commandant Standard Morale Augmentation under long-term deployment stress protocols is allowable at CO discretion. You are within regulation. This investigation is closed. Telvix rose from his seat so fast he knocked over a glass of water. "You're joking." "No, Inspector," Threx said flatly. "You're being reassigned. Effective immediately." "To where?" "Medical leave. Listed under psychological recovery from, what is it?" A pause. Papers rustled. "Cross-species command interface breach." Telvix didn't respond. He just stared at Nibbles, who had now dozed off, curled around the foot of Greaves's chair. Greaves patted the goat gently. "Don't worry, Inspector. She doesn't hold grudges. Much." When the GC shuttle departed the Alderbank, Nibbles watched it from the bridge viewport, bleated once, then resumed napping atop a padded crate labeled "Emergency Blankets Do Not Chew." 3 days later, a courier drone delivered a small black box to the Alderbank. Inside was a gold-trimmed feed bucket and an updated insignia pin, custom engraved with the words, "In recognition of unconventional excellence in crew morale." The final GC report, circulated quietly among fleet brass and compliance offices, read, "Humans are once again in technical compliance. Investigation closed.